Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. We have some incredible panelists that are going to be teaching you Instagram tips and tricks to help your business thrive in the social world. So we're going to run a format this evening where each of the panelists will share their knowledge as an opener, tell you a little bit about themselves, and then we have some questions that you have all kindly sent us in advance, and so we will answer those questions for you. And at the end of the introductions and the Q&A, you will be able to come and ask a question of the panelists direct. So I am your host. I am Simon Squibb. I am the founder of the Purposeful Project. I'm an entrepreneur who started my first business at 15 years old. I found it hard to learn business on my own, and that's one of my motivations today for starting the Purposeful Project, whose mission is to help 10 million people start and grow a business for free. We will never charge you for help. We're here to help you and make sure that you enjoy your business journey. And I want to thank the panelists in advance for giving up their valuable time to give us their knowledge, hard-earned knowledge that is valuable. And I want to thank them up front for giving the time to share their knowledge with you all this evening. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to Tide. They are our partner for this webinar this evening. They help us put it all together, and they are a big part of what makes, I think, the future of entrepreneurship very bright. They have an absolutely fantastic product that helps people open up a bank account, register your company, and we will put right now in the chat a opportunity for you to open up a bank account with Tide, which I've done myself recently. It's so easy. And when you do it, you get £50 just to help you on your way. And so I cannot recommend Tide enough. It's not just because they support this webinar that I talk about them. I would be talking about them even if they hadn't, because they're a great product who care about the people that are banking with them. So I want to thank Tide. Myself, we operate every single week at the Purposeful Project, webinars and events. We have a podcast series. We have all sorts of entrepreneurs, helping entrepreneurs networks, from Discord to of course, platforms like Instagram, where we aim to give you knowledge. So if you ever need any help beyond what we hopefully will teach you this evening, you can always reach out to us at purposeful-people.com. Again, we'll put the links down below. All of the panelists and their connected Instagrams and connected social networks, we will also put into the chat. So if you want to follow them, connect to them, and continue to learn from them, then please do follow the panelists. Now, we're going to go in no particular order around and talk to initially Drew, because I know Drew has a 4-month-old that she has to go look after. So that should be up first to share her knowledge first. So thank you for joining us, Drew. I know it must be quite hectic with a 4-month-old, so thank you for taking the time.
Oh, not a problem. I'm so happy to be away for a wee while, just have some me time.
I know what that's like. Well, why don't we start off? Maybe you could share with the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do. And then I've got 3 questions that were sent in for you, which I'll ask you, but maybe we could just start off with a little bit of a download from you.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So my name is Clarke. I am the founder of DW Cosmetics and also recently just launched Unaltered. Basically, both of my businesses are about empowering women and making women and girls across the world feel confident in their bodies, because as somebody who has had a bad body image in the past, that is kind of what I want people not to have and not to feel like. So that is exactly what I'm aiming, especially after I had my little girl. I was kind of introduced to a whole new world, a whole new side of myself that I didn't even know existed. Any mums watching, I'm sure you'll understand what I mean. Your body changes, your mind changes. So my main focus of my business is just kind of making women feel heard and accepted, because so many times in womanhood, you are comparing yourself to other people. You're maybe compared to somebody else, and it's nice to just have a brand that you can trust that doesn't do that. And it's more about celebrating who you are and not trying to change yourself. So that's kind of what my businesses are based off and why I started them.
That's amazing. And Drew, maybe we could start off by you just perhaps telling everybody listening how you managed to grow your profile from 0 to 15,000 followers, and what your best tips for a business trying to gain followers is.
Yes, so I started off as a makeup artist about 7 years ago. My whole Instagram, Facebook, everything was just makeup. I done little tutorials. I taught myself how to do it. So other girls were kind of like, oh, I thought you had to go to like a school to do that. And personally, I was not very smart in school. I wasn't the brightest. And loads of people told me that makeup wasn't going to work. And I wanted to prove them wrong and prove to them that, makeup can really be an amazing career. And for me, that was kind of how I started off my Instagram. That was how, and to be fair, my makeup side of my life was a very small part of that following, kind of starting to grow. Because I'm not sure if you remember when Instagram started doing stories, I started showing like the behind the scenes of my life, like kind of what went on in my day-to-day like life, to be honest. And that kind of engaged the audience a lot more. People were more interested in my life than they were me doing makeup. And then I slowly came away from doing makeup a little bit and was just more interested in showing what I got up to, because it was so nice to be able to relate to other people. So I try and be as transparent as possible, because as everyone knows, Instagram can be just a highlight reel. And for me, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to show people kind of like the realistic side of life. And that was how I started to rapidly grow. People were interacting with me more and saying that, they understood how I felt and they felt the same. And I started to build this community of people, men and women, who kind of understood where I was coming from. They saw the highs and lows and they related. And even with my business, I will always show, yes, of course, all the orders coming in, I'm packing the orders, but equally, like you said, I have a baby now. She is my whole entire life. So when I'm doing all that, I have to try and do it when she's sleeping or when she's sitting there calm, because she is only 4 months and it is very much unpredictable how she's going to be. So it was just kind of showing the real side of my life was how I grew my following, being really engaging, doing polls and stuff on my stories. I find, especially when you do like Q&As, stories, and you kind of ask your audience what they want to see more of. I always do that. I'm like, what are you guys interested in seeing from me? And especially with my business, one of my biggest tips for growing your business through Instagram, how I did it anyway, was my audience and my following are my customers. So they are the ones I'm trying to engage with more often. Every single day, without fail, I post one story on either profile, my own or unaltered. So I always post. I never not post. Even if I have 2 minutes in the day, I'll just quickly post something. And I always post one grid feed post a day as well. And I just think it's so important that as long as you, as a business, or your branding is right and it's standing out, your audience have something that captures them. For example, mine is more about, self-love and self-worth. So with my leggings that I'm selling, I show all different body shapes, people with stoma bags, people with bloating, people who've just had babies, C-section mums, postpartum, everything. So that it's not just a leggings brand, it's so much more. It's a community of women who can kind of go, when you're seeing someone wearing the leggings, that they've saw the same things that you've saw. So you're all believing in the same ethos. And my bread and butter of my business is just empowering people. And I think when you have that in a business, if you're a business owner right now and you're kind of starting off, my main tip for you would be to find your like target audience and figure out what they want to see and what they want to hear from you and really listen to them. That's like my main thing, is just to listen to what your audience want, and that's how you grow.
It sounds so obvious, doesn't it? Listen to your
audience.
Yeah. So when you say it, I've actually made a note myself. It's such a good point to remind ourselves that we're there to serve that audience and to listen to them. So it's a great point. Do you use one of the other questions that was sent in to us? I wanted to ask you: do you use a content calendar to organize your posts? What tools do you use?
To be honest, I used to. A couple of years ago, I would have had all of these apps and things to kind of schedule how my posts went. And some days, if I was having a really bad day, that post just didn't suit how I felt. So I'd be like, right, no, scrap that. I'm only going to do what suits me and when I want to post. So this is my Bible, my diary. I will write down, what time I want to post at. So when Aria is sleeping, I will have all of this ready to go. So I'm not sitting there going, what needs posted? But no, I wouldn't really have a set schedule such, especially with a baby. It's really hard to do that. I just try and work around myself and what suits me and just kind of look at what times my audience is online at. So a lot of my insights will show me that they're on like 6 and 7 o'clock at night. So I'll post then. And that's kind of just how I schedule my days. I don't have any apps or anything like that.
It's good to know. I think we all think we need to find a tool to make it easier for us. Sometimes it sounds like it's just fitting in with your own lifestyle is the best way to do it. And the final question for you, what's the importance of collaborating with other brands and influencers on Instagram? Do you have a strategy around that?
Yeah, so do you mean, like, for example, if I was to reach out to an influencer to work with my business?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I think influencer marketing is so underestimated. Like, a lot of people pay thousands for Google ads and all of that stuff. And I've done that before myself. And it didn't really get me the audience that I was really trying to capture. So my focus now when I'm getting influencers on board would be, is their ethos the same as ours? Are they promoting the same message as me? Again, empowering women and making them feel really good about themselves. I will go out and try and find influencers from anywhere, any shape, any size, doesn't matter. I'm just wanting them to have the same values as me and my business, because if they have the same values as me, that will shine through when I send my leggings to them and they're wearing them and they're talking about them. It will engage their audience too, and that then will send them towards my business, and then they will engage with my audience, and then that kind of boosts your business. So influencer marketing is incredible, and it's so underestimated. Like, a lot of my business that I've recently got in the past month has literally been from micro influencers just posting and resharing my photos or my TikToks, you know, people just commenting underneath them and getting small creators involved and doing little photo shoots and little things to make people really excited. It's not so much about finding someone with 100,000 followers, because a lot of the time they're maybe promoting so many different brands at once that the audience isn't really captured. Whereas when you get somebody who's a little bit smaller, and they really, really appreciate what's being sent to them, they have so much value. And honestly, I just think influencer marketing is incredible for any business.
Great tips and insights, Drew. Thank you so much. So anyone that wants to follow Drew or know more, we're going to put Drew's contacts again in the message.
Thank you.
Free to follow her. And Drew, we know you might have to pop off and look after your form unfold, but we will be asking or answering questions live at the end of this first round of chats with the panelists. So do stick around until the end, and you can ask Drew a question. She's able to pop back. So
yes,
Drew, thank you.
No problem.
Next up is Marvin. Marvin, how are you?
Really good, thank you. Afternoon or morning, depending on which part of the world you're in.
Yeah, definitely evening for me here in London. But Marvin, maybe you could kick off by just telling us a little bit about you. And I just recently started following you and absolutely love what you're doing. But maybe you could share with the audience who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, sure. My name is Marvin Harrison. I'm the founder of Dope Black Dads. And then I've also founded other community groups under the name Dope Black. And Dope Black Dads was set up as an abyss for me to yell into, as male parenting eluded me for the first 2 years, and then very quickly it became a place where other men could come and change and have the conversation. And we then turned our WhatsApp group into a podcast. We've gone on since to win some awards, a Webby, Screen Nation, and a few other notable accolades around the podcast work that we've done. We've also did an editorial stint on the BBC Sounds and One Extra, talking about fatherhood. And then shortly afterwards, we moved everything over to Facebook groups, and we've since grown to 3,500 dads in our Facebook group. And we've grown our Instagram channel from 0 to 20,000 during that time. And we use our Instagram channel as a way of, I suppose we do have a framework of celebrate, educate, inspire, and heal. And so we want to celebrate fathers, we want to inspire fathers to do better, we want to educate them on some of the biggest issues around parenting. And then, and then we want to introduce them to self-healing and things like self-care and just things that they need to do to improve their own outcomes. And that's what we use our Instagram for.
I definitely need to be a better father. I've got a 4-year-old and always feel guilty that I'm not doing enough. So I can really resonate.
There's plenty on there for you, Simon.
Yeah, I can really resonate with what you're talking about here. And I guess one of the questions that someone sent in for you was, how do you create an effective Instagram profile and choose what to post?
It's an interesting one. So originally we were using it just to repurpose and post user-generated content of fathers doing incredible things and being cute and families and babies, and we got a lot of engagement on that. But what we quickly realized is that the use and power of just repurposing nice fathers of images of Black fathers was quite limiting. And what we wanted to do is be useful. And we wanted to be able to stand and actually help people. So we started focusing way more on the more educational things that we think are important for dads to read, learn, understand. And we got actually less engagement, but the sentiment that we would get in our DMs and people calling us out really increased. And so we would get pages of people talking about the challenges that they faced, because we're hitting actually people's hearts rather than just like lots of sort of mindless, amazing pictures of Black men doing stuff. So it's been a bit of a long journey, but I think, the integrity of what we do is about helping people more than just having a giant page of just like cute stuff. And, we realize that people, when they do come to us, they really need our help, and we become really useful.
Yeah, I think it relates back a little bit to what Drew was saying as well. It's not about the size of the following, it's about the engagement and being, as you say, useful. I think that's really useful insight for, especially people always think it's about getting big numbers, and somehow that proves that your page is working. But what you're talking about there is the engagement versus necessarily the size of the Instagram following.
It's also just very difficult because there's also the balance of economies of scale, and you're working with partners and they want big. But I know that those 20,000 are really with us every step of the way. And so the impact we can have and the influence we can have is greater than if, there are other pages that have hundreds of thousands of followers and they're great. And I follow them too. But I don't know if they try to tell men to, look at a particular area. The other day we did a campaign on prostate cancer, how much people would listen to that. And I think that's the important work that we need to do. So we're slightly different. I don't see us as an Instagram channel. I see us as a social movement. So I think the way we use it is different.
I love that. And do you, is there any particular strategy you have on like reels versus, image posts? Is there any particular thing that you follow there strategy wise?
Yeah, we've seen feed posts are being suppressed, especially feed video, and reels are being a lot much more amplified. Stories are vital because most people review stories on an ongoing basis, and then that pushes that content into your feed. So we prioritize reels first, stories seconds, feed third. I'm very aware that if it is video, it has to be a reel. So a lot of it is just about editing content sizes and knowing. So we have to make sure we can template different types of content. That means that we can post it quickly, because I think a large part of it is when you have something that's urgent, it's not laborious to make it and make it appropriate for the platform that is needed. And we always try to use as many native tools as possible on the platform, because I think it also helps to amplify the content to audiences.
Yeah, and by native tools, you mean like editing the reels inside the app, that type of thing, right?
Yeah, but also like stickers and different features, questions, polls, all of those elements also add a significant amount of value. I think it also makes it, I think there's a habit of wanting to post once everywhere. And I think that doesn't work. And you've got to take your time and post bespokely for every single platform that you have. And they do encourage it with like posting on stories to Facebook and Instagram at the same time. But I realized that when you do that, the engagement just isn't as good. So it's best just to focus on the platform you're speaking to.
And finally, is there any particular time of day that works, do you think? Is there any way you figure that out?
Yeah, we normally do 9 and 7:30 GMT. And then because of our pages have audiences in South Africa and the US, we try to adjust that for those times also. We probably post two, 3 times a day, but we then, I think our goal is to increase the frequency. There are some pages I know that post every 2 hours, but because of our focus on quality, that probably won't be possible. But we do want to post more often, and we do want to make sure when people wake up and do that morning look online, we're there, and then after work, we're there as well.
I'm making notes. I have to quickly rush to unmute because I'm actually writing that down. Yeah, it's good. Great stuff. No, I think so. Yeah, that's fantastic, Marvin. We're going to have questions at the end from the audience. So please don't go anywhere and hang out with us. And we've got questions coming in on the feed. I can see already. So we'll come back to you. But that's such great downloads. Thank you so much. And next up is Kaylin. Would you mind unmiking and telling everyone a little bit about yourself and what you know?
Yeah, so hi everybody. My name is Kaylin Ann, and I'm the founder of Girl Talk Agency, which is a social media agency where I work with faith-based businesses on basically expanding their brand awareness on social media. And then I'm also the founder of the Girl Talk with Kay podcast, where I interview women entrepreneurs and just like faith entrepreneurs on how to really advance as a faith entrepreneur. So. Yes.
Love that. So, Kaylin, I wondered what are the 3 ways for a business to boost its engagement on Instagram in your view?
Yeah. So I would say really like just keep it simple. So making sure that you're like commenting back to those who are commenting on your photo. And I think a lot of times people would like to like, no, I want to wait till I get as many comments and then I'll respond. But actually Instagram, they see that you wait. And so you have to be consistent and you have to be urgent when it comes to people doing any type of engagement on your content. So I would just say making sure that you're commenting back as soon as possible on your on your photos. Another way I would say too is, creating video. That's like the main thing, right? So Reels, that's the thing, right? Creating Reels as much as possible and not even having to like making sure that it looks pretty, but just putting it together in a way where you're telling a story, I feel like will do you better rather than trying to wait and making sure that it's being perfect. I think that's the thing too. People notice when it's so perfect or it's not natural and it's not authentic, people can see that and your audience can see that. So I would just say making sure that you're, you have that video feed. So making Reels, commenting, and then also too, I said to post your audience. Post when your audience is online, right? So it wouldn't be smart of me. I'm in the US in Dallas, Texas. So it wouldn't be smart of me to post at 3 o'clock in the morning, right here, if my audience here, or if majority of my audience is in Texas. So I need to make sure that whoever is following me, that I want to make sure that I am present on social. That means that I'm, in my stories, I am posting content the times that they're on.
I'm seeing a bit of a theme around everyone that knows what they're doing on Instagram. They work within your time zone is a good example of that. So yeah, good reminder. I know you help a lot of clients get leads. How do you do that? What's the lead strategy?
So for me, I do marketing and social media. So basically, I'll kind of help create my clients' marketing plan and also their social media plan. So for me, that's organic content and paid content. And so for those who don't have a big budget, so the organic content, making sure that you are communicating with your audience, telling them exactly what you're selling, if you're selling something, and then just being present and being consistent, right? So a lot of times, again, like I said, people think it has to be perfect for people to follow you, for people to respond or to grow your social media, but that's not true. It was back in the day, but now people want to see authentic. They don't want to see pictures with filters on it. They don't want to see all that. They want to see you. They want to see the behind the scenes of what you're doing, your life, and all those different things. So I just really tell my customers, be yourself, right? Don't be afraid to do you, right? Don't be afraid to do something different than everybody else is doing, because you're going to stand out, and then your audience knows that is you, and then they're going to be able to trust you. So then now they see who you are, that you have value, and that you have purpose. Now they're going to trust you with your business. So I just always tell my clients to make sure that you are creating content about you, about your mission, and mix it up too with the sales as well.
It's a nice trend to see, actually, that it's not just about a nice picture anymore, and there's an evolution, and that's actually a really good thing, I think, where, as you say, people share their authenticity. So that's really amazing. I guess, do you, I know you talk in some of your content about building communities. Is there anything in particular you think around building communities that you can share?
Yeah, honestly, I would say if you don't have a business yet, like start building that community. I feel like a lot of people think they have to have the business down packed before you start creating the buzz and the awareness around your business. But I would say to do it in reverse, creating that content or creating that community on Facebook, on Instagram. And literally that just means responding to people, right? Like commenting back on their stuff and also take an initiative to like their pictures, comment on their photos, right? And just build that that likableness too, right? And so it makes it feel, people want to feel like liked, and they want to, you know, they want to feel like what they're doing is good enough. And, you know, when someone is shouting you out or someone commenting on their photo, it's like, oh, thanks. Like, you know, I didn't, you know, that could make somebody's day, right? If you know, encourage them. So that's what I like to tell like my clients, and even too with even building my brand with my podcast too, and with my clients is like, most of my customers and most of the people that I've interact with is people that have found me because of how I interact with everybody, right? I want to make sure that I am empowering everybody. I want to make sure that I am speaking my truth and being myself 100%. And it's almost funny because my audience knows when I'm outside of that box, right? Then you can tell like you're not operating in your zone of genius, right? So I would just say making sure that you build that trust with your followers, and you know, DM them, you know, and you don't have to want something, you don't have to sell something. Just creating that conversation right now will be great, because when you do launch your product, when you do have that business, they're going to remember you.
Totally right. I'm actually live on a few platforms right now. I think live's become such an important part of Instagram, actually all social media. So I'm live on TikTok, live on Instagram. You are getting a lot of hearts, by the way, right now. A lot of people appreciate sharing your knowledge. And that's really awesome. So thank you for that. Again, anyone that wants to follow Kaylin, we'll put her handles in the chat. And I can see a few questions coming in. So we're going to get to your questions in just a moment once Paul's given his download. You can actually raise your hand. If you click the raise hand button, we'll even bring you on stage to ask your question if you feel confident to do so. And this recording of this download today will be online for later for people to learn from your question. So your question is important. I'm sure your question is a question a lot of people will have. So feel free to raise your hand now, and we can bring you up on stage. You can ask these experts some questions, and after Paul, we will do that. So Paul, welcome to the stage. Perhaps again, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and yeah, let us know what you know.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm Paul Otote, so I'm the co-founder of Herby, and our mission is to help just create a world that utilizes powerful plants for daily personalized needs. So that's performance, that's period pain, unlocking nature's true power. And I guess that journey has taken us to launching Selfridges. So we've been in Selfridges for like a year now. And it's a theme that I carry on in my own personal life. So I got a platform, there's around, I guess, 80,000 of us, where I share general tips and natural hacks on just boosting your wellness naturally. So yeah, that's a bit of my background.
I really love it. So maybe you could share a little bit about how you've managed to grow your following and what your strategy's been around that.
So for me, it's always been about value, right? Giving value consistent to people. So I guess for me, with the conversations that I have behind the scenes, you kind of know what people want, right? So when you're speaking about your brand, what kind of questions do people ask you offline? Translating those sort of questions offline, online, and giving value to people, consistent value, just allows people to buy into you and what you do. So that's a theme that I think I've been on social media now for 8 years, from YouTube, Instagram, and my main thing has always been about giving value, just learning myself and then using what I learned to help educate people. And off the back of that, I've been able to grow like my email list. I've been able to grow my YouTube page, my social media platform. Even I've written a couple of books off the back of that. I've been able to sell, I think, over 15,000 books. So giving value, you know, it does a couple of things for you. For one, it also helps you be seen as like an expert in your space. So when somebody has or wants to speak about this topic that you speak about all the time, who do they think of? You, because you're consistently giving value to people, and it just builds up trust with your audience. So that's how I've grown it.
Yeah, again, it sounds like common sense, but we do forget it sometimes when we're busy, I guess, almost selling what we're doing. We forget that actually we've got to bring value if we expect people to buy from us and engage with us. So it's such a good reminder. How do you come up with your content every day?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to a similar thing, right? So what sort of questions, like if I was starting from scratch, what sort of conversation do I have in real life, right? What do people call me for in terms of my own personal expertise? Translating that to content. And then once you start, I guess, building a little bit of content, let's say it's a month or two, I now go back to the data. So there's something I use quite a lot, which is Instagram Insights. I'll go back to Instagram Insights, for example, and I'll check, okay, in my Instagram Insights, which post had the best reach? Which post had the best clicks? Which post had the best favorites or saves? And off the back of that, I will know what style of content that my consumer wants to see and replicate. So I'm a bit of a fan of, if something is working, do it more, because for one, that might mean that that's on trend at the moment. So once you start finding out things that work with the insights, you replicate and post more. And then if you have like a second platform or like an email list you're building, you can put pixels and things on your website, like Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is something I use. And what Google Analytics allows you to do is see what your audience likes or other things that your audience likes, right? So you might find that I found that my audience likes beauty. They care about skin. I found that my audience likes like houseplants. They like luxury goods. So other things that's in line with the lifestyle that I'm adding value to, I might speak on. So I might speak on, let's say if I'm talking about herbs, I might talk about herbs for skin or the importance of the liver. But the reason why I understood this content is based on other elements that I found my consumer to care for. And another key thing is, right, it's speaking to your audience. So I read every comment. I try to reply to every comment. And people also tell you what kind of content they want to see next. So they might comment a question to a post you made previously. Then you might follow up with your next post being about the comment that was given before. And that does two things. It shows your community that you listen. And two, it also allows everybody who saw that post who's interested in a follow-up to go and check out your next post too. I think that we have this habit sometimes of overcomplicating things. I'm a guy that I like to go to the fastest route possible in a simple way, because it's all about, I guess, utilizing time, right? And to utilize time, you have to understand what tools you can use, whether it's Instagram analytics, your Facebook analytics. Understand what your consumer wants by speaking to them, whether it's going on lives, whether it's doing stuff on your story, and people will reply. They will ask you questions, and that just enables me to, I guess, somewhat think out of the box with some of the content that I create. And especially when you've been in the space for so long, because I've been, in the health and wellness space for like 10 years, thinking of new creative content isn't easy, because health isn't that complicated. It's just, eat good, sleep well, and exercise, right? So thinking of new creative content, you have to be in tune with your audience to some extent. So being in tune and planning ahead, I think is a good way. And also testing. But I guess a last key thing that I try to do for my personal brand and Herby Box is understanding what key dates are happening throughout the year. Christmas, whether it's Boxing Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. And you can also plan some content ahead of time for these things, right? So Valentine's is coming up. I might speak about, something Valentine's related. Okay, here's some tips to spice things up, for example, right? But it's that understanding of key dates can trigger stuff in your mind to help you plan content ahead of time. So hopefully that's helpful.
Thanks for reminding us all that Valentine's is coming up. Yeah, good point. Yeah. No, I mean, that's absolutely fantastic, Paul. We've got some questions coming in, so I think I'll open this up to the floor. And again, for anybody that wants to or feels confident enough, we've got a couple of hundred people on here. You know, there must be people confident enough to come up on stage and ask a question. You can hit the raise hand button, and we will bring you up on stage if you feel confident. And so, but I can see the questions coming in the Q&A section, so we will also answer those now. Just before we do that, I just want to sum up what I've noted from each of our experts today. So Drew said, just show your life, your day-to-day life. I think that's such a good tip. And be transparent. I feel that's also so useful to remind ourselves and maybe leverage just, you know, being authentic. Build a community. Ask your audience more often what they want. And you don't need to use the tools. You can be manual. I know everyone thinks that the tools will save them time, but maybe they also mean that things go out at the wrong time. And partnerships are really key, especially micro influencers. And I've had personal experience. I've invested in quite a lot of businesses, and a business I invested in recently worked with micro influencers, and it was hugely successful. And previously they'd worked with influencers who had millions of followers, and it wasn't as successful as the micro influencer campaign. So definitely that bit of advice from Drew really resonated with me. I think Marvin was sharing about like be useful. You know, be educational focused, which again is I feel so true. Reels are amplified right now. You're hearing that a lot, but maybe we just need to remind ourselves. Sometimes just posting a picture is a little easier than coming up with a good reel. But I see it too. The reels are getting definitely getting pushed more right now on Instagram. Use the native tools. So be that the questions or the polls. The stickers, or even editing the actual video inside the app will make Instagram feel that it's been made natively. And post in your time zone. Sounds so obvious, doesn't it? But wherever you're trying to target, just make sure you're engaging with the audience that you want to engage with. And so, and Kaylin said so many great things, and she said engage with the comments. As quickly as possible. You don't need to let all the comments build up and then engage. It's good to consistently engage on the comments front. I actually have made that mistake myself, so I made a note of that one for myself. I often go in, reply to the comments and go away again. And so, but having that consistent, regular engagement instead of that one-off, I have seen that actually. Now I think about it in my own analytics, and so it resonates with me that that's such a good piece of advice. Build a community, not a following. I think is another great tip from Kaylin. Be consistent. Create videos that tell a story. Totally makes sense. Again, she also said be authentic. So there's a theme there, isn't there? I think growing in social media in general, and you know, that organic versus paid mix can be a good way if you're looking to get leads from it, to leverage both ways of reaching out to your audience. And then Paul, again, loads of great insights from him. Again, some of it sometimes sounds obvious, but great to write down. Give value. And what Paul said that I think just adding to give value is like online and offline. You know, I think that's such a cool point. You know, sometimes we think we can do it all online, but there is ways that we can bring value offline and bring connection and support. I personally use voice clips, for example, in the DMs, and have a human connection with people beyond just typing things, and show that it's really me. Some people don't believe it's really me there. So I use the voice clips in the Messenger DM to say, hey, got your question. This is what I think, you know, and then that in my mind is kind of an offline approach. And don't overcomplicate things. I think we all do overthink our posts, right? So Paul's just highlighting that. Totally agree. Review your analytics. There's some great tools within the system. A lot of people don't use them. I still think I've got the new iPhone 13. I don't know how to use 90% of that phone, but learning to use the tools we've got and plan ahead. And don't forget it's Valentine's Day coming up. So all really useful. So now we're going to take questions. So again, please raise your hands. I think we've got one guest come up on stage. Gwyneth, are you there? Would you like to unmic and ask the panelist a question?
Yes. Hi, Simon. Hello, Simon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Simon, for this program. This meeting has been very helpful to me. The panelists have been great. They've been awesome, great advice out there. So my question is, when you're starting out a business, what advice do they have for us concerning starting out a business and then opening a new Instagram page? How do you, build your followers? How do you keep up with them? Sometimes, when you start a business, most people don't respond initially. So how do you get them to respond? How do you put your content out there? Supposing you have 2 followers, what kind of content do you put out when you're starting out? And then how do you build up? So that's my question. And I'm Queen from Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria, joining in from Nigeria. So yeah.
Hi, Queen.
Thank you very much.
If anyone of the panelists wants to answer this, feel free to unmic. I'll just quickly say, if you've got 2 followers, research who they are and find out what they need.
Okay.
Sometimes I wish to have 2 followers, but have 2 true fans can be a great way to start. But if any of the panelists want to unmic, Marvin, I see you unmic. Do you want to add some value?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, just shouts to Nigeria, just for being Nigeria. Thank you for being here. And I think what's for me when I look at these types of things is that I stick to my original vision for a fixed period of time, usually 60 or 90 days, because I think it's really difficult to start taking feedback too early. You can find yourself in a bit of a rabbit hole. And so I think get your idea and your vision out of you, get comfortable with what you believe the viewpoint is, and then start to look at the success of some of the posts. So when we start new communities, we just launched Dope Black Hair, and we've got 233 followers in 2 months, which is small, but we're not doing anything aggressive. We're just playing around with the tone of voice. And so it does take a little bit of time to figure out what it is. So just take that time and then research what the successes are and then make changes after that.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll add
go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
I've helped a few friends grow their pages. I'm not saying this will work for everybody, but this is what I've done or what I've told them to do, and I've been pretty hands-on. Essentially, like, so let's say the brand is about a specific thing, right? What are people asking questions in regards to that brand? So is it the ingredients that you're using? Let's say it's moringa from Nigeria. You might provide a lot of education. So what I've done for them is, helped them create just value. So it might be 15 posts that are incredibly full of value, right? And then after that, and this requires a little bit of a budget, just putting like £5 per day on your most successful post and boosting it. And what that does, it just kind of expands the reach of that post. And with each of these pages, because if somebody sees the value in that one post that they see as an ad, they will come to your page and look around, and especially if the audience is relevant. And if you've got about 15 posts and each of them are of value, right? I don't use value a lot. They'll stick around. They'll buy into your brand. And these are not like, it's not like fake followers. These are relevant people to your audience, especially if you're diving into, their interest, because you can do that whilst you boost the post. So one of the pages got to 3K in 4 months, and they sell watches, and they've sold a lot of watches. So that's what I would do if I was starting. The same formula I've done with Football Friends for different pages, but it takes quite a bit of time to actually create content that's relevant. And it might feel that you're getting 1 like, you're getting 2 likes, oh, that's nothing. But when you get 1 like, that's one person who's a human being. So one person who's a human being can tell 5 of their friends. So I take the numbers as actual people, and that makes you feel better, even though you're starting small. With a community of 100 people, you can still make good income. So that's, I guess, the formula that I would use if I was starting again and trying to grow a page. Hopefully that's helpful.
It is helpful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And so I think we have someone else come on stage, but I'm so sorry, I don't see, it just says speaker. I don't see a name.
Is it Jazz Bissahota? Is it myself?
Yes, I think so.
Oh,
yes,
perfect.
Just says speaker. I'm so sorry, I don't know your name.
It's Jazz Bissahota.
Oh, hi there. Do you have a question for the panel?
Yes, I do. So I'm very new to Instagram, probably about 4 or 5 years, grown organically. And I was just looking through my feed and thinking about all the posts I've done previously. Do you go back and delete them, or do you just keep building up? Because I've probably got like a 1,200 posts, I think, or something, which is that too much?
I do. I saw Kaylin notes. I don't want to judge, but like I do, and I curate and clip often because not many people go back down the feed and look at it. But for me, it may be just a preference of mine that I like to look at the most succinct and best content that we have. Also, design styles usually evolve over a period of time, and so it's good just to every now and again have a bit of a refresher. And what's great about Instagram now, it has an archive feature, so you can archive rather than necessarily delete. So if you ever feel it comes of use again, you can repurpose that content later on down the line.
So do you do that every like quarter or so, or would you go back and like do a year's worth?
No, I would never get that far down. I think quarterly is a good marker, but I think you got to look at timeframes for you, and usually it depends on your frequency of post and how much change you've had in that time frame. There's no point culling if you're posting once a week, and then you're trying to then cull a quarter's worth. It's just not really worth it. But if you're doing daily, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, and you're playing around with, feed and captions, after a while you realize there's an inconsistency of styles that may occur. So then I normally do a color or an editing where possible, and then represent the content down the line.
Okay, thank you.
I hope you found those answers useful and today's webinar useful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fantastic. I'm taking down loads of notes. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Oh, Caleb, sorry, go on. You go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say something. So personally, I have I would archive a lot of posts that don't relate to my current content. But I would say as like you're building a business, if you don't have the history or if you don't have the content, I would say to just let it stay. But if it doesn't like correlate with your mission right now and your vision right now, then I would definitely say archive it. But sometimes it's good to just have that history there so people can see like where you came from. They can kind of see your story too, in a sense. So that's the only reason why I would say to kind of keep it if it's related to your mission right now.
That's a really good point, actually, because I've got a personal account and a business account. So I should do for both. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much, Kaylin. No problem.
We have a lot of questions coming in now, even on my TikTok. I've got so many questions coming in as well. But Diego, you're up on stage next. What question do you have for the panelists? Can you hear us? Is that a technical problem? We can lip read, I think. Let's try.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. So my question is, I go a business in West London. I go an ice cream shop. We talked before. So basically, some people, for what you say is we have to make it personal, but then other people telling me you shouldn't make it personal with your business. So it's a bit confusing because, like sometimes I don't know if I should get more involved into the posts and all the stuff and showing me making the stuff and talking to people, or I should just keep it playing with what the business is or not, So it's some people tell me you should, other people tell me you shouldn't. So it's a bit confusing. So you guys obviously know better. So will you recommend me and my basically partners to be more engaged within the post, like talking in the post and all that stuff, or?
I would let the data decide, but I would say to you, like, personal content is usually better when there's a good story, and the quality is of a good quality. I think it could be great for you to explain, why you have an ice cream shop, and then, talk about the flavors that you have, why you've chosen them, your memories of ice cream diaries, whatever the thing that you create could be a really nice way to present it. But I think you have to decide whether you feel you're able to get that message across, and it will be understood, and then the quality of what you're able to create. And if it isn't quite right, then, just do the test and learn and see when you just post a picture of ice cream versus you explaining flavors and ice cream and techniques, what does better. And the people will tell you very quickly.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah.
We all wish we had not only had an ice cream right now, but we always wish we had ice cream as a tool we could use in our social media posts. I mean, everybody loves ice cream. I would just add that, you know, sometimes I think business is very personal, despite what people say, don't take it personally. I don't agree at all. I think you've got to take it personally. And maybe it's a personal decision for you. If you like doing social media and you want to be a part of that post, then I say do it. I mean, there's plenty of people on platforms like TikTok that are just making ice cream all day and have millions of followers. So if you enjoy that, then do it, I say. I think I'm inspired a bit by Drew as well, what she was saying earlier. You just be authentic, be yourself, share your story. And if you're comfortable doing that, you'll enjoy the process. Right, Drew?
Yes. So if you can hear me, can you?
Yeah, we can. Yeah,
you can. Yeah. Sorry, I came back. I fed her. She's sorted.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. Well, I think we all want to know. Can you put your handle in the chat, by the way? Because I definitely want to follow someone's ice cream story. Because I'm not allowed to eat ice cream much these days. So just I look at pictures will be good enough. Please put your handle in the chat, okay?
Okay. Don't worry, I make low fat and no added sugar. They're all specialized now.
Yeah, don't ruin ice cream.
Yeah.
But wonderful. No, thanks. I hope those answers were useful to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, before we move on, has anyone else got anything they want to add to Diego's question? Just make sure I haven't. Okay, good.
I think Marvin is 100% correct in terms of just testing. And I think sometimes why we don't want to be out there is, you know, sometimes a bit of fear, you know, in terms of like what people are going to say about us, do we ruin our brand's perception? But I think as a brand, it's good to test things and let your audience decide, because at the same time, people do buy into people. So putting yourself there and you're a handsome chap, you know, you got a good smile, try it out. And then if it works, it works.
That's one of the things that really sometimes put you off, because sometimes you know, all social media and everything is about looks, and you see all this fake stuff happening and people going with this amazing everything. And, you know, when you go up there, you in a way you feel a bit down, because you're like, oh my God, no, like these other people, and these people are amazing, and they showing, you know, Ferraris and all that stuff. And you go there with a little ice cream and you're like, yeah, look, this is my ice cream. And sometimes what I find very difficult is to keep the things up, you know, like to try to keep the motivation to, okay, I'm gonna keep doing it, I'm gonna do this and stuff, because sometimes you get very good like people engaging and stuff, and some other times you just go down to the drain and you lose motivation as well, if you know what I mean. And it's the whole pressure of everything coming together, all the competition and everything you see daily, like, because you get bombarded with different kind of every single day. So it's insecurity.
Yeah, I'll second that. I'll just say, just test it out and try it, see how it goes. And, you know, one thing that nobody has against, or no one can compete with us on, is being ourselves. You know, there's no other brand that could do that as good as you. So at a point you'll find a tribe. Like when I started my social media journey, if you watch my old videos, they were terrible, but it makes you grow as a person and people buy into you after a while. So I'll end on that. Good luck.
Thank you.
I tell you, Diego, I'm pretty certain you've got a real nice way about you, very authentic. And I think that is the way true social media is going, where you're really socializing with people. You be yourself, Diego, and I think you'll have a lot of people that will love you for being you. I have a feeling. So
Thank you.
Don't worry, no one cares about the Ferraris. We care about ice cream. Definitely. Stephanie, would you like to unmic and perhaps ask a question of the panelists?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
We can.
All right, good morning, evening, afternoon to everyone. I'm calling from California. My question, I already typed it in, was directed more to Kaylin, but anybody is more than welcome to answer. I just mentioned, you know, I'm a third generation minority small business owner. My family originally, the original business is restaurant, but my business is more so in education consulting and then small business development. I recently went through like my first phase of basically, I don't believe in failure. I don't believe in like mistakes. I just believe that, you know, I came to a realization that my foundation wasn't solid. Moving forward, I'm rebuilding, and I really want to convey God first, and my business being faith-based. And so I want my potential customers and our clients to not necessarily have the same belief, but to know that that's going to be a part of my model. And I just wanted to get your advice on best practices or any, heads up that you can give.
I would just say, Stephanie, to really just make sure your mission and your vision and your purpose is aligned with like what you want, and not to compromise it based off of money and business. And so I don't believe that you have to say who you stand for. I believe in your customer service, your way of speaking to each other, the way you doing business, your excellence is going to show people who you're serving. And so just keep that in mind. So it doesn't have to be like everywhere. I would just make sure that you are representing and your employees are representing who you believe in. And so just with that being said, best practices for me is not to compromise who I believe in. And also too, if it doesn't feel right, I don't do business, even if it's a lot of money associated with. I feel like the biggest lesson that I've learned last year was to, making sure that I'm led by my purpose and my mission. And if that is off, then my business is going to be off. So yeah. And we can talk more offline too. You can reach out to me. We can definitely have a conversation. I'm here to help you with anything you need.
Thank you. And I also just wanted to note that your Instagram is beautiful. I like the layout. It's very inspirational. It's bright. It brings light. So I think you are doing a great job, and I look forward to future interaction.
What about mine?
My bad. I didn't get yours. I'm on the way. No,
I'm joking.
It is true though. Kaylin's is beautiful. So good shout.
Thank you.
Stephanie, thank you for your question, and I feel like the Zoom system is mucking up a little bit with people's names. So I don't know if Speaker is your name or that's someone new or someone from previous. So I'm not quite sure, but I don't want to miss anybody out. So if Speaker, are you not called Speaker? Are you really there, or is it a little glitch with Zoom? Perhaps a little glitch. Okay, so Puyan. Would you like to unmic and ask the panel a question? Maybe not. Okay, well, we've done really well not to have any syncing out or anything go wrong with this webinar. So I'm going to say thank you for that, and just assume at the end we're always going to have a little something, but just double check. So Puyan, can you hear us? Can you unmic? Do you have a question? Speaker, are you there?
Hi, good evening. I think I have a problem with my microphone. That's the reason I couldn't speak. You guys cannot hear. So yeah, my name didn't show up on the webinar. My name is Jessica. So I come interested to this webinar because I would like to improve my business. How I have three, not just one. I have 3 business run. So one is a food. One is a cosmetic. The other one is provide service for other people who need. So then that's the reason I come. I'm just quiet here, observe all the experience that people have got here in the group.
Wonderful. Do you have a question?
No, at the moment I'm fine. I'm just listening and taking notes, basically.
Fair enough. Okay, well, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So everybody, I hope that you have enjoyed this evening, and we are now exactly 1 hour in. So feels like we covered everything. I personally learned, I've been doing Instagram for like 2 years non-stop, and I've learned so much tonight myself. So I want to thank the incredible panelists here for their knowledge and taking the time out to share that knowledge for free, being kind and doing that. And I also want to thank Tide, who I know are in the audience, for supporting this initiative at the Purposeful Project to bring knowledge to people for free. everybody deserves access to this sort of knowledge. And so it's very important to us that we do these activities, not doing the upsell. We're just here to bring knowledge to people. And so I want to thank Ty for supporting that. I want to support thank you to the panelists for supporting that. We have another webinar coming up, which we will be talking about TikTok. I have personally over 400,000 followers on TikTok, and we'll be sharing with another group of incredible experts knowledge on how TikTok works. And we also have a webinar coming up about LinkedIn, similar formats. Incredible people are going to share their knowledge about how they've managed to make LinkedIn work for them. So make sure you sign up. Finally, just want to say that Tide are very kindly giving £50 to anyone that signs up for an account. So do feel free to go and click the link if you haven't got a bank account with Tide to go claim your £50 and do that. And I can't recommend them enough as far as an ecosystem is concerned, helping entrepreneurs once you sign up. I think someone's trying to speak. Maybe there's one last question before we go. Is someone trying to speak? So I heard someone on mic.
Yes, sorry. My internet was cutting in and out, but at one point you had tried to unmute me so I could ask my question.
Of course, Sabrina, you can be our last question before we end for the evening. Go ahead.
Okay, so for all of our panelists, you guys have created a brand identity and you've developed a community with your brand. If Instagram has decided to shut you down, like in my case, and you lose your username, you lose everything, how would you go about to actually develop a community again with a new identity, brand identity, because you don't have access to the old one?
I would say, well, because Instagram has shut down before. So for me, I've always thought that it's, I don't own Instagram, but I want to own a platform. So that's why I have my podcast. I own that content, and then also my emails too. So I always try to direct people to, my email list, just so I can connect with them, and then their numbers as well. So I would say, you just have to kind of rebrand. Yeah, you're just going to have to kind of rebrand. And I would also connect with somebody who can kind of help you get a head start with that. So, if that's a consultation that you can kind of book with someone to kind of get you in a space to creating the same content, and also to just kind of being aggressive with basically restarting over again, I would definitely suggest that.
Yeah, I would second that advice. Good advice there, Kaylin. Thank you. And everybody listening, if you probably picked up that every single one of these very busy experts will respond to your comments. So if you have questions, I can see a few questions dropping in right now in the Q&A on TikTok and Instagram. You can go follow these folks and you can ask them the questions in the comments. They will reply to you. Some will be quicker than others. But everybody will reply. So do go ask your questions in the comments. Do go follow all the panelists, and you will continue to learn today beyond the webinar. And so if you learned anything of value, I would really appreciate it if you went on Twitter and tweeted it and did @ Simon Squibb or any of the panelists. I personally will retweet any knowledge you've learned. I want that knowledge you've learned tonight to go further than beyond just yourself. So feel free to go onto Twitter and share the knowledge, and at the Purposeful Project, myself or any of the panelists, and we will share your tweet and also hopefully amplify what you have learned and make sure what you have learned gets to other people too. So I love the butterfly effect concept. So perhaps together we've all learned stuff this evening, and if we share that knowledge, more people will have successful businesses that they enjoy. So again, thank you to the panelists. Thank you to Tide for supporting, and thanks to everybody that's attended. I'll see you all soon, and this will soon be up on YouTube and other channels, so you can listen to it later. So if you are listening to it later, thank you. You can ask questions in the comments below in the YouTube video, so feel free. Thank you, everybody.